All India Radio presents Morning News. Good morning. I'm Abhishek Mukhopadhyay and with me is Sarabjit Kaur. The headlines. Prime Minister Narendra Modi to launch several oil and gas sector projects in Assam this morning. Prime Minister to also inaugurate several railway projects in Hooghly district of West Bengal this afternoon. Railways to fully electrify its operations in West Bengal in the next 3 years, says Railway Minister Piyush Goyal. Puducherry Chief Minister V. Narayanasamy to seek a vote of confidence in Assembly today. First paperless budget to be presented in Uttar Pradesh today. Banihal-Baramulla train service to resume from today in Jammu and Kashmir after 11 months. India sends COVID-19 vaccine to Mongolia. India signs a $50 million defense line of credit agreement with Maldives. Second phase of Rashtriya Sanskriti Mahotsav begins today in Darjeeling. And Karnataka to host second Khelo India University Games this year. As the nation fights the COVID-19 pandemic, we begin with a message of precaution to stay safe and protected by following these 3 simple steps. Wear a face mask, maintain 2 gaz ki duri for social distancing, focus on hand and face hygiene. And now the news in detail. Prime Minister Narendra Modi will visit Assam and West Bengal today. In Assam, Mr. Modi will dedicate important projects of the oil and gas sector to the nation at Silapathar in Dhemaji district this morning. We have a report.
The Prime Minister will dedicate to the nation the INDMAX unit at Indian Oil's Bongaigaon refinery, Oil India Limited's secondary tank farm at Madhuban, Dibrugarh, and a gas compressor station at Hebeda village, Makum, Tinsukia. He will also inaugurate the Dhemaji Engineering College and lay the foundation stone for Sualkuchi Engineering College. These projects will usher in an era of energy security and prosperity and open bright avenues of opportunity for local youth. They are in line with the Prime Minister's vision of Purvodaya to drive Eastern India's socio-economic growth. Reshma Tiwari from News Desk.
In West Bengal, Prime Minister will inaugurate several railway projects in Hooghly this afternoon. In a series of tweets, Mr. Modi said, "The great soil of West Bengal has nurtured extraordinary individuals who have contributed towards national progress." He said it is a vision and effort to ensure West Bengal gets top quality development. More from a Kolkata correspondent.
On his third visit to the state of West Bengal within a month, Prime Minister Narendra Modi will inaugurate the extension of metro railway from Noapada to Dakshineshwar and flag off the first service on this stretch. This 4.1 km extension has been constructed at a cost of Rs 464 crores, fully funded by the central government. It will decongest road traffic and improve urban mobility. This extension will ease out access to the 2 world-famous Kali temples at Kalighat and Dakshineshwar for lakhs of tourists and devotees. Prime Minister will also inaugurate the third line between Klaikunda and Jhargram over a stretch of 30 km of the 132 km long Khadagpur-Adityapur third line project of Southeastern Railway. On the other hand, Prime Minister will dedicate to the nation the doubling of Azimgarh and Khadagra Ghat road section, which is a part of Havda-Bandel-Azimgarh section of Eastern Railway, which has been laid at a project cost of Rs 240 crores. Prime Minister will also dedicate to the nation the 4th line between Dankuni and Baruapada of Havda-Bardhaman Chord line. These projects will ensure better operational fluidity, less journey time and enhanced safety of train operations, as well as boost the overall economic growth of the region. This is Dr. Priyanka for All India Radio News, Kolkata.
Railway Minister Piyush Goyal has said that railways will be fully electrified in 3 years in West Bengal and all ongoing projects in the state will be completed at the earliest. Mr. Goyal said this while dedicating various infrastructure development and passenger amenities related works in North Bengal area through video conferencing. He said the North Bengal is naturally beautiful and development of this region will attract more tourists.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi will inaugurate Dr. Shyama Prasad Mukherjee Institute of Medical Sciences and Research at IIT Kharagpur tomorrow through video conferencing. He will also address the 66th convocation of IIT Kharagpur. The super speciality hospital has been set up by the Indian Institute of Technology Kharagpur with support from the Ministry of Education. The institute is inspired by the vision of the Prime Minister that the future of India will be shaped by investment in science and innovation and driven by its research talent. The MBBS program is expected to start from the academic year 2021-22, in addition to postgraduate and doctoral programs. In Puducherry, Chief Minister V. Narayanasamy will seek a vote of confidence in the Assembly today. Lieutenant Governor Tamilsai Soundarajan directed Narayanasamy government to prove majority on the floor of the House by 5 p.m. today. Meanwhile, political crisis has further deepened in Puducherry after two ruling alliance MLAs resigned from the assembly yesterday, a day before a floor test. Congress MLA K. Lakshmi Narayanan and DMK legislator Venkateshan announced their resignations yesterday. 4 Congress MLAs had quit earlier, while another party legislator was disqualified for anti-party activities last year. Following the resignations of 6 MLAs and 1 disqualification, the effective strength of the Puducherry Assembly is 26. The government has 12 MLAs, 1 short of the halfway mark. This includes the Speaker, a Congress MLA, but he cannot vote unless there is a tie. The opposition has 14 MLAs, 7 from NR Congress, 4 from the AIADMK and 3 MLAs nominated by the central government. After holding consultations with the Congress-led alliance, Chief Minister Narayansamy told reporters that he will announce his decision on the floor of the House when the Assembly convenes at 10 a.m. today.
BJP has passed the resolution thanking Prime Minister Narendra Modi for effective handling of the pandemic, able leadership amid COVID-19. Speaking to media after party office bearers meeting, Party National Vice President Dr. Raman Singh said the party resolution lauded Prime Minister Narendra Modi for reforms in agriculture sector and raising farmers' income. Prime Minister Narendra Modi yesterday inaugurated the meeting of the BJP National Office Bearers at the NDMC Convention Centre in New Delhi. Party's national office bearers, BJP state in charges, state presidents and others also participated in the meeting. Dr. Singh also informed that the upcoming elections in West Bengal, Assam, Tamil Nadu, Kerala, Puducherry were discussed in the meeting. He said the functionaries expressed confidence that the BJP will win the election in West Bengal and Assam. He said in Tamil Nadu and Kerala, party organization has been strengthened and in Puducherry, party has emerged as a strong alternative. Replying to a question, Dr. Singh said the farmers' protest is politically influenced and farmers of the country are happy with the laws. He said the laws have been welcomed in different parts of the country. He alleged that there is a conspiracy by the Congress and Labour parties to keep this agitation alive. The first paperless budget will be presented in Uttar Pradesh Assembly today. UP will be the first state in the country to table paperless budget. A Lucknow correspondent has filed this report.
The State Finance Minister Suresh Khanna will present the first paperless budget in the history of a state at 11 a.m. today. It will be live telecasted at DD-UP also. All members of the state legislature have been provided iPads to view the budget highlights, which will also be available on 2 big screens put up in the House. The 2021-22 budget will also be available on an app which can be downloaded from Google Play Store with the name Uttar Pradesh Sarkar Ka Budget. Budget will also be available on internet just after Finance Minister will table it in the House. This time the budget may surpass the amount of last year's budget, which was of 5,12,000 crore rupees. Sushil Chandra Tiwari, AIR News, Lucknow.
The budget session of Chhattisgarh Assembly will begin today. The session, which is slated to have 24 sittings, will conclude on March 26th. A report from our Raipur correspondent.
The budget session of Chhattisgarh Vidhan Sabha will begin today with the customary address of Governor Anusuya Uike. Chief Minister Bhupesh Baghel, who also holds the portfolio of the Finance Department, will present the budget for the next financial year on March 1. The session is expected to be stormy as the main opposition party BJP has decided to corner the ruling Congress government on several issues, including farmers' problems, deteriorating law and order situation and spurt in crimes against women. Chhattisgarh Assembly Speaker Dr. Charan Das Mahant said that all arrangements have been made for compliance of COVID protocol such as maintaining social distancing and monitoring of temperature and oxygen saturation. Vikalp Shukla, AIR News, Raipur.
The first ever National Toy Fair will be organized from 27 February to 2nd March through virtual mode. IIT Gandhinagar-based Centre for Creative Learning, CCL, will showcase its unique 75 toy creations in the fair. A report from our Ahmedabad correspondent.
IIT Gandhinagar is the only IIT in the country which is running such a center for creative learning. The center is inculcating scientific temperament among students as well as teachers by developing range of scientific and educational toys. Talking to AIR, head of CCL Manish Jain said,
खिलौने खेलने की चीज है, उससे दिमाग खुलता है, उससे नंबर आए कि नहीं आए लेकिन दिमाग तो खुल रहा है। हम उन वाले खिलौने की बातें कर रहे हैं जिनसे हमारी मोटर स्किल्स चले या दिमाग थोड़ा चले, नॉट जस्ट पेरिफेरल नर्वस सिस्टम जिसमें हम बटन दबा रहे हैं दूसरों को मार रहे हैं, वैसे खिलौने नहीं।
Mr. Jain welcomed the initiative of Toy Fair and expressed hope that this will definitely change the attitude of parents as well as teachers towards toys. Aparna Khun, AIR News, Ahmedabad.
Sameer from Indore in Madhya Pradesh will participate in the virtual India Toy Fair organized by the Government of India from 27th of February to 2nd of March this year. He expressed hope that the Toy Fair will provide them opportunity to showcase their products to a wide range of buyers. A report from our Bhopal correspondent.
India's local toy and games industry is all set to play a crucial role in realizing the aspirations of Atmanirbhar Bharat. Taking inspiration from Mann Ki Baat program of Prime Minister Narendra Modi in August last year, engineer Sameer Kumar of Indore has created a board game, Corona Ladder. Sameer said that Corona Ladder is one of his contribution towards making India a hub for toy production.
मेरे लिए काफी गौरव का विषय है कि हमारे इस प्रोडक्ट का चयन हुआ है और ऐसा रोचक प्रोडक्ट बिकेगा और हमें भी लाभ होगा और हमारे देश को भी लाभ होगा। तो मैं ये प्रधानमंत्री के अभियान से काफी प्रसन्न हूँ और मैं उन्हें बहुत धन्यवाद देना चाहूंगा भारत सरकार का।
Sameer's innovative idea of Corona Ladder is also emerging as a good way to create awareness on COVID-appropriate behavior among children. Pooja P. Vardhan, AIR News, Bhopal.
The paddy procurement in the ongoing Kharif marketing season 2020-21 is increased by 15.91% as compared to that of last year. Ministry of Consumer Affairs, Food and Public Distribution said that paddy procurement is going smoothly in several states and union territories with a purchase of over 651.07 lakh metric tons till February 19th. Out of these, Punjab has contributed 202.82 LMT, which contributes to 31.15% of total procurement. This is an increase of 15.91% against last year's corresponding purchase of 561.67 LMT. According to the ministry, the government continues to procure Kharif crops at minimum support price MSP from farmers as per existing MSP schemes as was done in previous seasons.
Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman has said that Sabka Saath, Sabka Vikas and last mile delivery is the hallmark of the Modi government since 2014. Speaking at the post-budget discussion in Bengaluru yesterday, the minister said that governance based on Antodaya practiced now is different from USSR-based socialism model with centralized decision-making process that failed in last-mile delivery. The minister said that programs like Jan Dhan Yojana, Ujjwala, Ujala and Ayushman Bharat introduced by this government have eliminated middlemen and transferred the benefits directly to the beneficiaries. She said that their government is not caught in the socialism trap by doling out SOPs and populist schemes that failed to benefit the targeted beneficiaries. Speaking about the budget proposals that she tabled in the parliament, the finance minister said that they have a multiplier effect on the economy that needs a stimulus package post the pandemic. She further added that economic reforms announced by her are based on trust and faith in people and establishments, taking the system away from the licensed Raj. You are listening to the morning news on All India Radio. A reminder of the headlines before we move on. Prime Minister Narendra Modi to launch several oil and gas sector projects in Assam this morning. Prime Minister to also inaugurate several railway projects in Hooghly district of West Bengal this afternoon. Railways to fully electrify its operations in West Bengal in next 3 years, says Railway Minister Piyush Goyal. Puducherry Chief Minister V. Narayanasamy to seek a vote of confidence in Assembly today. First paperless budget to be presented in Uttar Pradesh today. Banihal-Baramulla train service to resume from today in Jammu and Kashmir after 11 months. India sends COVID-19 vaccine to Mongolia. India signs a $50 million defense line of credit agreement with Maldives. Second phase of Rashtriya Sanskriti Mahotsav begins today in Darjeeling and Karnataka to host second Khelo India University Games this year. For quick news updates round the clock, follow us on Twitter at AIR News Alerts.
In Jammu and Kashmir, Banihal-Baramulla train service will resume today after remaining suspended for 11 months. Chief Area Manager Northern Railway Srinagar, Saqib Yusuf, told AIANS that to begin with, only 2 trains will run today. He said that the first train will be allowed to move from Baramulla to Banihal at 9:10 a.m., while the second train will run Banihal to Baramulla at 11:25 a.m. He has asked the public to avoid unnecessary travel and also maintain social distancing while travelling in the trains. Mr. Saqib said that more trains will be allowed to run once the COVID-19 related situation normalizes. Rail services were suspended on March 19 last year following the outbreak of COVID-19 in the Union Territory. Centre has advised the states that are witnessing spike in daily new COVID-19 cases to refocus on strict and comprehensive surveillance as well as stringent containment in selected districts. The Health Ministry said Maharashtra, Kerala, Andhra Pradesh, Goa and Chandigarh have weekly positivity rate more than the national average. To contain the spike, Centre has written to the states to increase the proportion of RT-PCR test and subject rapid antigen negative people to mandatory retest by RT-PCR. The states were advised regular monitoring of the mutant strains through testing, followed by genome sequencing, as well as monitoring of the emerging cluster of cases.
Over 1,10,85,000 people had been administered COVID-19 vaccine in the country so far. Over 4,32,000 doses were given in the last 24 hours. The Health Ministry said India continues reaching new milestones in terms of administering COVID vaccine doses to record number of beneficiaries. Meanwhile, the COVID-19 recovery rate in the country has improved to 97.25%. In the last 24 hours, 11,667 people recovered and over 1,689,000 people have recovered so far from the COVID-19 infection. In the last 24 hours, 14,264 new cases were reported. The number of active cases in the country stands at nearly 1,45,000, comprising merely 1.32% of the total reported cases. 90 deaths were reported in the last 24 hours, taking the cumulative total to 1,56,302. Delhi reported 145 new COVID-19 cases in the last 24 hours, taking the total number of coronavirus cases in the national capital to 6,37,900. According to the Delhi Health Department's data, the death toll reached 10,900 with 2 more deaths due to COVID-19 in the last 24 hours. With 97 fresh discharges, the overall recoveries reached 6,25,929. There are 1,071 active COVID-19 cases in the national capital as of today. There were 1,025 active infections yesterday. A total of 467 COVID-19 patients are currently in home isolation. The cumulative positivity rate stands at 5.33%, while the case fatality is at 1.71%.
In Bihar, a total of 39,079 healthcare workers took the second dose of COVID-19 vaccine during the past 24 hours. So far, 5,62,056 beneficiaries have been inoculated with vaccine doses since the start of vaccination drive in the state. Meanwhile, 2,60,088 patients have recovered from the COVID-19 infection in the state so far. COVID-19 recovery rate is improved to 99.21% in Bihar. This is 1.96% more than the national average. The number of active cases is continuously declining. Currently, only 536 patients are receiving treatment at various hospitals. No positive case has been reported from 13 districts. Odisha has administered more than 5,33,000 COVID-19 vaccine doses to the beneficiaries as on date. Out of these, about 95,000 healthcare workers have been given the second dose of the vaccines. More from a Bhubaneswar correspondent.
As part of the anti-COVID vaccination continuum, Odisha conducted 286 session sites last Saturday to vaccinate more than 31,000 beneficiaries. While a majority of the beneficiaries, to the tune of about 27,000, were healthcare workers who took their second vaccine jabs, more than 3,600 frontline workers also received their first vaccine dose. Meanwhile, the state government have asked all the district and municipal authorities to be strict with the violators of COVID-19 safety protocol. In an order issued yesterday, it has advised them to be vigilant against violators, especially in public places like eateries, shops and commercial establishments, while being proactive in amplifying the COVID-appropriate messages in marketplace. Girish Chandra Das, AIR News, Bhubaneswar.
In the wake of the COVID-19 crisis, India has sent 13 boxes of COVID-19 vaccine to Mongolia. The vaccine was sent from the Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj International Airport, Mumbai, to Mongolia yesterday. Meanwhile, External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar has announced that 25 nations across the world have already received Made in India vaccines and 49 more countries will be supplied in the coming days, ranging from Europe, Latin America and the Caribbean to Africa, Southeast Asia and the Pacific Islands. Reaffirming its commitment for overall development and security of its maritime neighbour, India has signed a $50 million line of credit agreement in defence sector with Maldives. External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar, who was in the Maldives yesterday, said that the agreement will facilitate capability building in the maritime domain. Dr. Jaishankar also co-signed the UTF Harbour Project Agreement with Maldives Defence Minister Maria Didi. He said that the project agreement will strengthen Maldivian Coast Guard capability and facilitate regional humanitarian assistance and disaster relief efforts. Maria Didi said that defence cooperation between India and Maldives has been a key element of the sisterly relationship between the two countries from time immemorial. Mr. Soleh thanked India for the assistance. Talking to Twitter, Mr. Soleh thanked PM Narendra Modi and the people of India for the generous assistance announced during Jaishankar's visit, including the Covishield vaccine. India also extended a new line of credit of $40 million for the development of new sports infrastructure in Maldives.
Meanwhile, the External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar arrived in Port Louis, Mauritius yesterday evening on the second and the last leg of his two-nation visit. During his stay in Mauritius, Dr. Jaishankar will call on President Prithviraj Singh Rupun and Prime Minister Pravind Jugnauth. He will also meet his counterpart Alan Ganu. During this visit, the External Affairs Minister will review all aspects of the bilateral relations, ongoing implementation of various infrastructure projects being carried out by India in Mauritius. He will also hold discussions on bilateral, regional and global issues of mutual interest, including India's assistance to Mauritius. With Financial Action Task Force FATF commencing its 3-day plenary meeting today, there is no light at the end of the tunnel for Pakistan. Hanging in the grey list of the global anti-terror watchdog, Pakistan has been trying to garner support from the member nations to escape the list. According to various reports, some European countries have taken a stand against Pakistan, saying that Islamabad has not fully implemented all the points of a plan of action set by it to come out of the grey list. Therefore, Pakistan may find it difficult to get out of the grey list before June this year. In its last plenary held in October last year, the FATF had kept Pakistan on the grey list, citing its failure to fulfill 6 out of 27 obligations of the global money laundering and terrorist financing watchdog. The obligations include failure to take action against 2 of India's most wanted terrorists, Jaish-e-Mohammed chief Maulana Masood Azhar and Jamaat-ud-Dawa head Hafiz Saeed. According to reports, Pakistan had compiled its response to these 6 recommendations and has submitted a report to the FATF Secretariat. The members would now evaluate Pakistan's responses during its plenary meeting. The Paris-based watchdog had placed Pakistan on the grey list in June 2018. It had asked Islamabad to implement a plan of action to curb money laundering and terror financing by the end of 2019, but the deadline was extended later on due to the COVID-19 pandemic.
Union Minister of State for Culture and Tourism, Prahlad Singh Patel, will inaugurate the second phase of Rashtriya Sanskriti Mahotsav today at Raj Bhavan in Darjeeling. The closing ceremony of the 3-day event will be attended by West Bengal Governor Jagdeep Dhankar. A choreographic presentation by Odissi Vision and Movement Centre, followed by recitals by Dona Ganguly Odissi, Michael Saxophone and Shene Hybrid Band will mark the beginning of the event on the first day, while on the second day, Sonak Chattopadhyay will recite Ravindra Sangeet, followed by a creative dance recital by Sapphire Dance Troupe and the Northeastern Band of Daniel Engti and Kamran and the Boys Band. Culture and Tourism Minister Prahlad Singh Patel will also inaugurate the 3-day Incredible India Mega Homestay Development and Training Workshop in Darjeeling today. The concept of homestay is getting popular in Darjeeling and Kamplong district of northern part of West Bengal. the involvement of local communities more than ever in this homestay tourism at one of the most favoured hill stations for domestic and inbound tourists. Union Sports Minister Kiren Rijiju has announced that the second Khelo India University Games will be hosted by Karnataka. Addressing the media in Bengaluru along with Chief Minister B.S. Yediyurappa, Mr. Rijiju said that the largest university games in the country, scheduled later this year, will be held in Bengaluru in partnership with Association of Indian Universities. Over 4,000 sportsmen under the age of 25 will compete with an opportunity to be selected for the national teams. The first edition of University Games was held in Bhubaneswar last year. In the second edition of the Games, Yogasan and Malkham have been added. Chief Minister B.S. Yediyurappa assured all possible support for the Games.
Now let us take a look at the weather update for the day. Jammu will have generally cloudy sky. The minimum temperature is around 12 degrees Celsius, while the maximum will be around 21 degrees. In Srinagar, generally cloudy sky with light rain is expected today. Minimum temperature was around 3 degrees Celsius, while it is expected to rise up to 10 degrees. Leh will see partly cloudy sky. Minimum temperature was minus 5 degrees Celsius, while the maximum will be around 8 degrees. Gilgit will also have partly cloudy sky. Temperature will hover between 3 and 19 degrees Celsius. Thunderstorm with rain is expected in Muzaffarabad. The temperature will vary from 8 to 18 degrees Celsius. In Dehradun, the sky will be mainly clear, becoming partly cloudy towards evening. The city will experience temperature between 12 degrees to 28 degrees Celsius. Chandigarh will have mainly clear sky. The temperature is likely to hover between 12 and 27 degrees Celsius. National capital Delhi witnessed shallow fog today. The minimum temperature was around 10 degrees Celsius, while the maximum will be 29 degrees. Mumbai will have mainly clear sky with the temperature varying between 27 and 35 degrees Celsius. Chennai will have generally cloudy sky with light rain. The temperature will fluctuate between 24 and 30 degrees Celsius. Kolkata will have mainly clear sky during the day. Minimum temperature was around 18 degrees Celsius, while maximum may go up to 31 degrees. In Hyderabad, the temperature will hover between 19 and 29 degrees. The city witnessed fog in the morning and will have partly cloudy sky in the day. Ahmedabad will have mainly clear sky. And in Patna, the temperature will move between 14 and 29 degrees Celsius.
And now, an overview of today's newspapers. The Indian and Chinese armies agreeing to resolve outstanding issues at friction points on the contested line of actual control LAC is one of the stories that finds prominent mention in the dailies this morning. India-China talk of orderly resolution leads the Hindustan Times. Puducherry CM may quit prior to vote, speculates the Asian Age. The paper writes, trust motion today, government short of numbers, 2 more MLAs resign. CBI reaches home of Mamata's nephew to quiz wife in cold case, informs the Indian Express. India signs $50 million defense LOC pact with Maldives, reports the Statesman. The Hindu quotes the Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman as saying, no plans to merge Employees Provident Fund, National Pension Scheme. Winged guests flock Delhi's 7 wetlands this winter, informs the Pioneer. And finally, Novak's 9. Well, the Times of India reports that Serbian ace Djokovic makes light work of Medvedev to earn record Oz Open title.
And now, before we end the bulletin, the headlines once again. Prime Minister Narendra Modi to launch several oil and gas sector projects in Assam this morning. Prime Minister to also inaugurate several railway projects in Hooghly district of West Bengal this afternoon. Railways to fully electrify its operations in West Bengal in the next 3 years, says Railway Minister Piyush Goyal. Puducherry Chief Minister V. Narayanasamy to seek vote of confidence in Assembly today. First paperless budget to be presented in Uttar Pradesh Assembly today. Banihal Baramulla train service to resume from today in Jammu and Kashmir after 11 months. India sends COVID-19 vaccine to Mongolia. India signs a $50 million defense line of credit agreement with Maldives. Second phase of Rashtriya Sanskriti Mahotsav begins today in Darjeeling. And Karnataka to host second Khelo India University Games this year. And for details of these stories and more, log on to our website www.newsonair.com and News on AIR app. And with that, we end the morning news. Have a nice day.